PSN Hockey and the LGHL Media Team present the LGPSN Draft. Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you again, along with our new media director and overall media god, No Sleeves.
Oh, my God.
And along with us tonight, we've got a few other folks who are helping out. Jay Beal is here. You remember him as the MVP of the playoffs in Season 5. Dead Soul, the GM of the Winnipeg Jets. And a new member of our media team, DeBrin, joins us tonight. He's going to be helping out with CHL all season long. And it'll be good to have you on board, DeBrin. Nice having you here tonight. Let's get cracking right away, guys. The draft is less than 15 minutes away. And certainly we've been looking at players left and right, and Dead Soul's been doing a lot of his own work. We'll get to him in a minute. But No Sleeves, we've got an interesting draft class, to say the least. A good amount of talent. I'm not sure what the talent level is this season compared to the others. What's your feeling on what you're seeing right now for this draft?
Well, like, the overall general consensus of this draft seems to be that it's weaker than all the other ones, but I feel like that happens literally every season where everyone that's already been drafted just assumes the draft following is going to be garbage, but not necessarily the case. I mean, I can guarantee you that there will be guys that will be taken tonight that will be in the NHL next season. I think some of the crazy things that I probably want to go over a little bit is that the fact that there's only 14 teams drafting in the first round kind of shows that everyone, or a lot of teams, feel that outside of the top maybe 7 picks, that it's not as strong as other years. So they've kind of just moved all of those assets. Specifically, St. Louis owns the teens. They have 9th, 10th, 13th, 14th, and 17th, which is pretty crazy. They have the most in the first round, and they're all within the top 17. So they could definitely change their franchise. I mean, Colorado made a big move earlier today, I believe, or it was last night, to get the 2nd overall pick. We moved down, actually, Tampa Bay. And then you have Minnesota with the 1st. I think that it's interesting because last year we had, in my draft class here, we had Montreal try and rebuild an LG franchise through the draft. And it didn't do nearly as well as the hype that it got. So I think that, you're going to see a lot of guys that have a lot of picks in this draft that might find out that midway through the season that they might need to move them, things like that. I think the fact that the new TC rule, where you have to make the same amount of TC trades, I think that will affect the fact, that some teams want to draft more players just to have like the player, like the number, not necessarily looking, just as someone that might be amazing, but to have someone who's at least decent be a TC, because having more TCs is key throughout the season. And kind of the last point I want to talk about is that, a lot of the guys that are going to go in the first couple of rounds, it's exciting. I remember when I got drafted last season, and it was really dope. You have to remember, though, that it is very, very difficult to make the NHL, so just temper your expectations and listen to what your owner wants you to do. Don't piss and moan if, you play in the AHL next season. It's very hard to crack an NHL roster, and it'll be interesting to watch as tonight unfolds.
Yeah, Dead Soul can probably talk to that a little bit, but let's get your take on this class that you see in the draft this year. What's your expectation compared to the last couple of seasons as you've been owner of the Jets? What are you expecting out of this one? Is it any better or any worse than what you've seen before?
It's a bit different. I would say it's not going to be like previous drafts where you're going to get like really top end guys that are NHL ready immediately, especially going down in the depth department. I think Sleeves summed it up pretty well overall. I mean, every season is different, but the later we go, it seems like the talent level kind of dips off a little bit, at least guys that would be ready to just jump right into that NHL role. It definitely takes time to groom some of the players. And I mean, with this season, it's definitely different from the previous few. And I'd say it's a little bit thin overall. That's my opinion, but
I agree. Like I said, yeah, it does appear to be. I think that I was talking to DeBrin. We'll get him to talk about the CHL in a little bit earlier. That it seemed like there was no true, like, just absolute powerhouse in the CHL this year. There was a lot of good teams, but I think that there wasn't that like one runaway team that you had seen in the last couple seasons. Where you could just basically look at that team or like my own, and even if you don't know them, you didn't do your research or anything, you just took somebody from that team. And I think that isn't really going to happen tonight. I think Ottawa will have a lot of players specifically taken. Brampton will have a few. I think that there's some on Kingston that might actually be really good as well. I can't say too much about who I think is going to be good because I pick at 7, but I think that the fact there's no giant powerhouse is going to definitely affect how some guys draft, and like I said, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, one thing's for sure, it won't be an easy draft. That I can tell you. You have to do your homework. People who didn't do their homework, I think, are going to suffer. You got to be wise with the picks this season, and I think the guys that did the scouting will do best. I think there's a lot of guys on paper that look pretty spectacular, but once you get them in games, not quite exactly what you think you might be getting, and you just got to be prepared for that.
Absolutely.
Let's just get a quick thought from Beal from what he's witnessed and some of the work that he's done and some of the scuttlebutt that he's heard here and there about some players. What's your expectation of this draft? Do we have guys who are going to be AHL filler, or do you see anybody on this list that might wind up sticking in the NHL?
There's definitely a solid group of guys that could stay in the NHL. After the first round, though, the skill level is just going to drop off, and that's when you're just going to see AHL fillers though the entire time. So
I think another thing that might be kind of interesting to take note of is that, like, the general consensus is that a lot of like top tier players left PSN for Xbox, which wasn't really necessarily the case. Like, a few did, but there definitely is going to be some room for AHLers to make the jump. I think this season you might see many more. Like, for example, I did the numbers for my season. There's 43 guys who weren't pylons in the NHL. So 43 guys from my draft class out of 125 actually contributed. So like that takes out like Goat Neal and all that crap. But like all the like, I think that you're gonna find that and I'm just kidding, Goat Neal is actually not a bad defenseman. He's just terrible in the shell box. But I think that you're going to see a lot of AHL like turnover, where the AHL is actually going to be, filled much more than all of the other seasons, where you get a considerable amount go to the NHL and then they kind of fail, or they, it kind of fizzles out. I think you're going to see a lot of the AHL fill the NHL to start the year, because there was a lot of talk about guys not necessarily ducking the NHL. Actually, yeah, ducking the NHL to play in the AHL, and I think there was a few that are convinced to go up to the NHL this season. So you're going to see a lot more holes in the AHL, where I think that a lot of these guys are going to go. I mean, I got to mention the fact that Nashville has 17 picks in the draft. Like, regardless if the draft is big or not, I hope that 5 guys. 17 picks is crazy. That's an entire team.
So what you're saying is Vibes can't fuck this up, can he?
No, well, I mean, like, one of them's got to be decent.
It'd be hard to.
Like, odds are you have like 20% of the draft. So I mean, one of them is going to be an NHLer, I would think. But I mean, from a management standpoint, I was saying this earlier before we went on. I think that from a management standpoint, that's a smart way to go, because of the fact that TCs are no longer able to be dumped, that he's going to have a lot more guys under his control. But I think as a player, after the first round, getting drafted by Nashville is going to be kind of rough. Their AHL team is actually half decent with a few trades that have been made already. And if you get drafted by Nashville, you just got to understand that, you're going to have to play in the CHL more than likely. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, there's going to be a ton of, TCs and guys always bail and things like that, get banned. Like, I would be stunned if like 5-second tags weren't drafted tonight. And that's another thing you got to be careful of.
Well, you know what Vibes is doing. If you know anything about Vibes, he's at least picking his ECUs for next season.
For sure. Yeah.
We know he's going to be using them.
There's a couple of people in the YouTube chat, live chat, Vish and Swarm's and Deeds, I think, as well, all saying that Vibes will find a way to fuck this up somehow. But before we get to the draft, let's let DeBrin get a word in edgewise here. Again, thanks for helping out tonight, and you'll be taking over the CHL media, and we're looking forward to seeing what comes out of there, because we desperately need some help with media there. What are you seeing? What's your initial take on this draft? What are you expecting to happen?
I mean, there's some good talent in the CHL in the draft, but they got to realize what they're coming into with the NHL. The CHL is a completely different game style. With going up to the NHL, I mean, NHL plays pretty much trap the whole game. In the CHL, it's pretty much, I mean, learning the cycle, learning the basics of how to play with a team.
Right.
No, I agree.
There's a lot of talent in the CHL, but there's also a lot of attitudes. The owners tend to deal with much more than what the NHL and AHL owners will deal with. I
think for sure, like, I mean, when it comes to like attitudes and whatnot, you got to think that on the CHL, like, the CHL is the hardest thing to crack. And because when you're a TC on the CHL, you literally have nothing. Like, you legit can't get into a game. So if you're told no, or you're stuck on TC for like 2 weeks and you kind of have a shitty attitude, like, that just ruined your whole LG career. Because if there's no way to crack that, there's no mandatory way to get onto a roster for CHL. Correct. And then because in the AHL, if you're a TC, you just play in the CHL, things like that. Like, there's your guaranteed spots. Yeah. But yeah, I think in the CHL, there's definitely more attitudes. Well, first there's 60 teams, so like you've got that many more guys. But no, I agree with you that there is a lot of more attitudes in the CHL. What teams specifically do you think, like, outside of like Ottawa and Brampton, what teams did you find were surprisingly good maybe throughout the season this year?
I wouldn't necessarily say surprisingly. I mean, Kingston was obviously going to be up there in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They did a pretty good job, but I mean, they faced Ottawa round 2. I mean, that's a tough matchup for them.
No, for sure.
Next, I would say Drakkar. Once again, they faced the Oceanic round 2. That's another tough team for them.
For sure. Who do you think on your team that you played with tonight? Who do you think will get drafted?
That's a tough one. Honestly.
What team were you on? Give us a little insight.
Last season I was on AHL. I started at Belleville.
Okay, so I'm Belleville. Okay.
Yep, with the Senators.
Okay.
Good thing I got out of there with Toxic and the other second tag. I don't remember exactly who it was.
Oh, Mello.
Yep, Mello. So good thing I got out of there when I did. I ended up getting traded to Rochester.
Okay.
Pareko moved up to the NHL GM. He brought Shaft Daddy with him. So that'll be a good transition for him. It's going to be tough, but I mean, good luck to him. That's all I got to say.
You want to, and maybe we can talk about the new guys in the draft, like first timers. Like, we know Pareko. So Pareko drafts at 6th overall and 29th, and he's obviously going to be one of the guys that are harped on the most. Unfortunately, he's a great dude, and I'm happy that I was able to get into media with him. He does a really good job. Yeah. But you take a lot of heat when you let someone who's been an AHLer and whatnot as an owner in the NHL. And the problem with that is that the free contract that comes with it, when someone isn't, able to live up to the free contract, you're already kind of behind the 8 ball. But I'm not going to lie, he's got a full team. So, like, let me say this about it. He's got 13 guys under contract right now. So, I mean, and he's got 15 mil. So he can build a first line in bidding. And if this 6 overall, if he gets someone at the 6 overall pick, then, like that could be something. He might be able to, it only takes really, I mean, you can have one guy carry a line. I mean, look what just happened with J-Claws in LA. They went to the conference finals. Not to say that their team was all, the same talent level throughout, but you have one guy that you win in bidding, it could carry you a long way.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think it's going to be interesting in bidding. I mean, like you said, he's got 15 mil, and he's got a lot of guys on his roster right now.
For sure. I think he's got it. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch. I mean, we also have Vancouver. John Sheldon took over there. Like,
Yep.
I think probably the nicest guy on the entire site.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Oh yeah.
And he made probably the most controversial, move in making Mam, who is another good kid. I've actually been kind of buddies with him since my time in the CHL, the GM. So you kind of have two contracts that are free that are just like, that is going to be interesting.
Right.
And
right.
he's got I mean, to be honest though, he probably has done more work with this draft than anyone else. And just taking a look at his picks here, I know he drafts. I just saw Vancouver in the first. Does he have a first round pick? I don't think he does. Oh, he has 28. Sorry, I knew I saw it. 28th. He's got 2, 3. He's got 3 in the second round. So I mean, like, if there's anyone that does his homework, it's probably him. So like, this is he'll be another one that's interesting to watch. Is Dead Soul back? I know he had to step out for a second. Is he back?
I'm here. Yeah.
You're back now? Who do you think, just trying to keep it going here, who do you think needs to have the best draft based on their roster currently?
Well, I mean, any team that doesn't have any players.
Okay, all right. Like, Edmonton is 2, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we are in need of some things for sure. I don't know if I can't really say that the draft is really going to be the answer to that. I don't think that's definitely not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at bidding to do where our building's going to be coming from. But I mean, if I were to look at things, that's a good
Who
question.
needs to land like 2 or 3 guys that are at least third liners in the NHL?
Well, I mean, looking at the list so far here, I'd probably say, I'm not even sure.
Hey, while you think of that, let's just look
Yeah,
at
draft just started.
the draft has started,
yeah.
and
I got it.
number 1 pick by Minnesota's Krispy Kreme, who part of that Ottawa 67s team that lost in the finals. He went 15-1 on the season, 27 goals, 42 assists, a plus 57. And somebody who I think, Beal, you even said you had heard that he was somebody that was mentioned by a few people.
Yeah. It was him and Giroux going top 2. That's what I heard for the past week, and that's exactly what happened. So.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think that Giroux in Colorado with like Nav and everything might actually be probably one of the best fits from the teams that had picks there. I think that is a pretty good one. But again, it'll be interesting to see if he can handle losses. I mean, that's always going to be the problem.
Avs winning the cup. Screenshot it now. He just said
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. There it is. I mean, with that defense, and you never know, that defense is locked and loaded right now.
Yeah.
Was Giroux a late sign? Because he doesn't have much in the way of numbers, at least from what I see.
Yeah, I believe so.
Signed up. Yeah, he signed up late. Signed up real late.
Okay.
Yeah. Did anyone tell him? Did anyone tell him in the league to sign up? Like that he was buddies with outside? Oh, it was you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would figure.
Yeah.
Way to go. You ruined it all. You ruined the show box for everyone. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Brought the whole RSG squad with me.
Yeah, you brought them all. All right, so now we wait on third overall.
Yeah, looking at the stats for the and here's a third pick by and it's by Nashville, Tact Freezy getting picked. Yet another player from Ottawa on this draft.
Yep.
And the interesting thing was in looking at the guys who were available for this draft, within the top 20, 25, there were 5 of them from Ottawa. We've seen Krispy Kreme picked and Tact Freezy now, and there are a few more who are expected to go early on here in this draft. So I don't think we're seeing any surprises yet.
No, that's a really good steal so far. Did you Yeah, like I said, those were the 3 of the top 5. I mean, I'm interested to see what Dead Soul's about to take here. You take it live on the air?
I actually have to consider something for a moment, but
oh my God,
yo!
The insider, someone's getting trade offers already.
Let's make sure he doesn't get a skip pick and let him go do what he's got to do, and he can go back and talk about it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But
I mean,
yeah, we've got the Wild coming up with another pick here in the first round. And then you see St. Louis has got a bunch too in the next from picks 9 to 17. They've got 5 right there.
Yeah.
There's Dr. Furry Nips.
Yeah.
There he goes. He goes.
All
He goes. One of the
There.
best names ever in the draft, I think.
Yeah, I happen to draft soft tags and funny ones. Apparently.
Soft tags.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my.
know people are going to be scratching their heads, maybe, perhaps, I don't know, but I did scouting, so did my AHL squad, and we have certain needs in Winnipeg, we have certain needs in the AHL squad that are looking for the three-peat, and this is the best thing that we think is going to be good for both our squads, regardless of how things turn out with him. But yeah, I don't
Dude,
really
look
care
at
what
his
anybody.
stats.
Yeah,
My
19.
goodness,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just say 19-4-1, 3 goals, 26 assists, a plus 33 from a right defenseman. So,
Dude, +5 in takeaway giveaway.
yeah, that's amazing.
That's
huh?
insanity.
Anybody on plus should be a draft pick, quite honestly. You know?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
with the draft being the way that it is at the forward spot, I think people can drop a little bit more than people are expecting. And when it comes to defense, it's even thinner. So I didn't expect that he was going to drop down to our 12th pick, and I don't want to take that chance. So that's where I got my decision from.
Absolutely.
No, that's a solid pick. I mean, like I said, I didn't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if he was like a, super. I hadn't heard his name talked about publicly at all.
Right.
So I mean, I think it just goes to show you that you do your homework, and that's a crazy stat line, dude.
Well, I'm glad you guys are surprised about his stats then, because it means not everybody looked at him.
Well, you know what? Right defense has always been a bit of an issue with finding enough guys who can play that and play it well. And I don't know if that's changed much in the last couple of seasons. I know even back in season 4, season 5, it wasn't much different. Now we have a bunch of picks here. Go ahead, Sleeves.
Yeah, as BA sports fan went to Minnesota. JDO went to the Blackhawks, and we got right Dizzy. That is Carm's stepbrother, who is very good at defense. So I'm glad that we were able to get him. But I mean, to be honest, any surprises or anyone that's that you thought would go there, Detzel? Hello.
Oh, sorry. So
Sorry, my
far, talk about.
Yeah, because we just had 3 go off the board there. The 3 that I just picked, were you surprised at all with any of these guys?
Well, I'm not really familiar with 6 and 7, to be honest with you. BA, I've heard about a lot, actually. A lot of people were talking about him. I never got a chance to actually see him play. So a pick like that or any of these other 2 guys for me personally would have been more of like a blind bid based on what everybody's talking about. And honestly, I don't know if I can trust what everybody says lately because, everybody wants to get the one up on one another and maybe mislead people to their picks. But yeah, I mean, I'll have to check on these guys. I don't really know much about these last 2.
JDE had a fantastic season. He went 25-3-1 with 29 games played, 79 points, and was a plus 48. So he had a fantastic season there. Let me see. Do you want to read off the stats of the other guys?
Yeah, BA sports fan, didn't play a lot of games, but was on that Ottawa 67s team. He only played 6 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, a plus 11. But again, you look at that, and if he goes high, that's somebody who obviously has experience elsewhere, and so probably picked up for being known either in another league or playing in clubs. So, but part of a 67s team that got to the finals. So obviously a fairly decent player who someone knew something about and snatched him up early.
No, for sure. And like I said, so yeah, Ray Dizzy is. I played with him last night against the Winnipeg. We had this crazy triple overtime. He was my D partner. He played really well. I'm excited that Carm was able to get him. I don't know if he was well known or if people were going to go after him, but like I said, he had a pretty good season. He went 22-6-0 with 35 points and was a plus 33. So like I said, I'm stoked that we were able to get him. But that was a part of why we traded down. So now it'll be interesting to see what goes, because now we've got St. Louis about to draft 7 dudes. So this will be pretty crazy.
Yeah, we've got the Pens first here with pick number 7. They've got a little less than 2 minutes on the clock right now, then 2 straight from St. Louis. And you've got that many picks coming up. 5 within the next 8 picks are theirs. And you have to, I would think you have to have a specific strategy for that, not just wing it. You would want to build and possibly, have something specific you want to do. Snipe Shot and Agent PC on that team, I would assume have some kind of strategy. They've got a couple of other players on their squad right now, but they only have 5 total. So is this a situation where they're building for an NHL team, or are they looking to help their AHL team, maybe looking to help with some trades down the road? You've got so many picks here. I can't imagine you think they're going to be all for your club or all for the AHL.
No, for sure. I mean, like you said, because after the top few guys, that like the draft was kind of like a kind of hit or miss. That like it'll be interesting to see what he goes with here. I just want to pull up their baby roster real quick.
I can't remember. Are they affiliated still with Chicago? How did that work after last year?
Oh yeah, I forgot about the switch. Their farm system is, I think it is Chicago.
Did they keep Chicago
on the clock for the Pens?
Sorry?
30 seconds on the clock for the Pens. I haven't seen a pick yet, so.
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, none.
Has not happened yet, as far as we know. We haven't seen a refresh yet.
There we go. They went Grizzle.
And they took Grizzle, so.
Wow.
There it is. Yeah, someone
Controversial.
Someone mentioned
Surprised right there.
Number 2 scorer in the CHL last season, 17-2-3,
right
66 goals, 37 assists, a plus 61. And those numbers stand out. But is there a reason why a guy like Grizzle wouldn't go in the first couple?
Well, he was traded like 4 times in the CHL.
Right.
So, I mean, I played them a little bit on Team North America when we did the tryouts for that. Like, super good at the game, not going to lie. Really good at forward.
Right.
Has a little bit of an attitude problem. That's going to be interesting to see. I'm just going to pull up Pitt's roster here, because he's definitely going to start in the NHL. I think that.
Yeah, that definitely looks like somebody, with those numbers, and we've seen that, and I don't know anything about the guy, so the reason for trades, I don't know. Maybe he was that much of a hot commodity that people felt they could use him. But typically when someone gets moved around that much, it's more than just trying to move a good chip.
Yep.
Right.
No, for sure.
And so, I don't know if you have any more insight on him as a player or as a person. I don't know much about him, but his numbers speak for himself anyway.
Just like No Sleeves was saying, I mean, he's got kind of an attitude with him, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier on, is with transitioning from the CHL to the NHL. NHL owners won't deal with that.
No, for sure. That'll be interesting to see, especially Sadim Power in management there. I don't really think that he takes a lot of shit. So
right.
But like I said, he might, when attitude problems can be fixed real quick with winning. So
correct.
Like you don't even win. Attitude problems are only a problem when you lose. So you never know how that's going to go. So now we've got 4 of the next 6 picks are all St. Louis, and Dead Souls right in the middle there with 12. Are you hoping for someone specifically, or do you have a few on the board, bud?
I've got somebody in mind particularly.
One?
I'm thinking it's gonna be this guy that's gonna be available. If not, then I think I'll have to take a few more minutes to mute myself here.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of going off what we've done research on, because I've already done the whole, go off the gut of just seeing, okay, well, you hear this guy's good, or you go by their stats, and it doesn't work most of the time when that happens. So I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to go with what my gut says based on what I've seen and what my AHL GMs and have seen as well. If you go any other way, you're just screwing yourself. You're setting yourself up for disaster.
No, for sure. I agree, man. So now we've got, how much time's left? We got a little over a minute. A little over a minute on St. Louis's first pick. Let's see.
Blues are one of the teams with like 5 players on their roster, so they could go anywhere.
Yeah, I know it's not. Yeah, there's not really any, because like you knew the Avs were gonna take a forward, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But with this, you've got a crazy amount. I mean, Arizona. I mean, teams that have a lot of players already, where you can kind of see. I mean, Calgary's all got 3 forwards, but they've got 4 defensemen already. Who's coming up? So St. Louis has got that. What about Philly? Let's take a look at Philly real quick. They struggled last season, so they kind of need to. They have Gustav and Matt Double. Gustav's really good, stepping into GM there. I played with him on Team North America and whatnot, and in the CHL, he's really good. But they only have 4 players on their roster, so that'll be interesting to see where they go. Let me take a guess at if it's gonna be. Actually, no, I don't want to. I was gonna say at who Dead is gonna take, but. Let's see, and then after that, then we start the Nashville run, where Nashville just owns like every pick. I can't believe that. I can't wait to see how many guys they have. But no, that's going to be interesting to see. They've got about 20 seconds left. Mine hasn't updated.
I wish I could say that I'm surprised that Vibes did a burn the forest down to start all over again kind of deal. At least he traded away some people, but
Easy
time, yeah.
DZ number 7 on the scoring list this year in the CHL, 19-3-1, 46 goals, 42 assists, a plus 48 on the season, and almost a 61% face-off winning at that center position. So not bad.
Really good stats.
Part of that Quebec Ramparts team, but they saw an early exit in the first round. But certainly one of the top scorers in the league.
Oh, for sure. That seems like a half-decent pick. Let's take a look here. So now they've got their next one. I mean, it's interesting they took that long for that one. I mean, because, like, you've got the next. Picks. Yep, now you've got a few here. Let's take a look. I want to see who goes 25. That was my spot last year. Gonzo's got that pick. I can't wait to see what happens in Edmonton if he can actually turn that around. They got rid of everyone. That's another storyline. I mean, Edmonton literally just cut everyone off of that team. So it'll be interesting to see where that's gonna go.
Anybody have any thoughts on some of the management changes in the NHL? I mean, do we see anything that we think is questionable or we think is a good move? You know, maybe somebody moved up and took an NHL spot and should get that.
Well, like I said, like you said earlier, like Parayko taking that one is always going to be controversial, and like if he doesn't even get 500, like he's just going to be harped on. It kind of sucks, but I mean, like they could do half decent, like I said, in bidding, because they have so much cap space. Another one was Wolf taking GM in Montreal. Kind of excited to see how Montreal does. Looks like they're building a little mini Valdor. They've already got Virus, Wolf, and Gun Booty, so like that'll be kind of fun to watch. I think that the fact that Buffalo moved to Buffalo and Chicago switched made the Atlantic a pretty solid division. So like that's kind of going to be a decent fight. Let's see who else do we have that changed owners.
You know what? While you're looking that over, I do have a question for Beal because he's been in the AHL enough, and even DeBring can talk to this a little bit. You know, obviously there was a big swing in the West this year. They had so much more talent. We saw roster swaps in the NHL happen for Season 7, and I kind of feel like we needed that in the AHL. Let's start with you, Beal. What do you think about the idea of doing some roster swapping to even out the West and the East?
I think that'd be a great idea, only because the last 2 seasons I've been here, like the East hasn't even been able to do anything to the West. So, like, there's no teams that can even compete really. So.
Yeah, and going on that, it's kind of interesting you bring that up because with the 4 NHL teams that switched, they actually did an AHL switch with those teams as well.
Okay, sure. I didn't even think of that part, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, their AHL teams went over.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this season it's going to be evened out a little bit, but I still think the West is going to be strong.
mean, there's a lot of roster clear, but Manitoba wound up holding on to a lot of their players, and that's going to make them really tough to beat. They're going to be a team that's not going to have a hard time contending and should be there come playoffs without much of a struggle. The other teams that clear cut and don't have an awful lot left, they certainly have to be concerned. But Manitoba gets Nazi, Lobo, JMM. Brian adores Liz coming back on forward. They got their goalie Dreamy coming back. So I mean, right there, they've got a good core of a team. And while we saw now San Jose just totally get dismantled, Manitoba still in the West is going to be incredibly tough. We got less than a half minute left to go in this second pick round. Round 1, pick 10 for the Blues. Still waiting on this one, and I'm assuming we'll get this happening soon. And there it is. And we talked about him a little bit earlier. Saucier, 17. Another player from that Ottawa team, ranked 52nd, at least, I believe it was 52nd in scoring. 21-3, 19 goals, 48 assists, plus 77 from a right D. And, man, that's a defenseman I looked at and said, you know what? That's the guy I think I might go for if I'm going to go for a
center.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's a center. He's a center.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, oh, my God.
He signed up as a center. Is that the case?
Let me take a look here.
Yes, he was signed up as a center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that must have changed because he wasn't a center last season, I believe.
Okay, that makes sense. Give me 1 second. I think Beal can get Giroux on. We want to hear from the second overall pick. That'll be an interesting take.
All right, let's see.
If you can get him on, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, get him on.
All right.
See if he's stoked.
Yeah, Saucier was a right D. I just wanted to confirm it on the site. He was a right D last season, and those numbers are what they are. So that's, again, another Ottawa 67 player with incredible numbers. And if he has moved to center this season, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he actually started the season off this year as right D, and then he changed to center about halfway through the season.
He finished as a defenseman?
As a center. He started as a D-man, yeah.
I was gonna say because he's only got a negative 91 as a centerman, which is pretty good for takeaway giveaway. I mean,
wow.
Right.
I guess Giroux's gonna get on here. Oh my God,
Yeah,
this kid loves me.
Him in here, so.
Is he still in Jamaica?
No, he just got off the plane like an hour ago.
Man, this kid lives
like
for
that.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Good news when you come back home that you've been drafted high, number 10.
Who cares about Jamaica, bud? You're on the Avalanche. That probably was the best spot for him, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he doesn't have to be the guy. So like if losses don't work, and we're talking about Giroux right now, like he doesn't have to be the guy, and because Nav's already that I don't think I think that'll work to how he is, or at least perceived to be. I think in Nashville and in Mini, those picks kind of have to carry much more of the load, as far as their depth and whatnot go.
So you see Saucier staying with the big club? Is that the case?
I mean, I would guess. I mean, let's take a look. I mean, like those guys are going to get a shot for sure, just based on numbers alone. Right. Like it's curious though that I don't know if they took so long on their picks because they were trying to do a trade. It's interesting that they had that long and they just waited. But
Flyers have a minute and a half left to go to make their pick number 11. Then it's the Jets again, and we'll probably lose Dead Soul for a minute there as he goes radio silent. And then two more from St. Louis. So far their picks are interesting for the Blues, and be interesting to see how many of these guys that they pick early on here that we can say we think they have a shot of sticking.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of feeling out, I think, early on, especially in the first 2 weeks, because, like I said, there are a lot of holes to fill, and with all the ownership changing and whatnot, like that'll be interesting. and because this draft is so much more unknown than the other ones, at least outside of the top, few, like even BA Sports Fan, I don't know. I mean, like that wasn't that was a talked about one, but again, there weren't like super huge hype on some of these guys. So like, I think that they'll get their chance. But as a forward, it's a lot harder, I think. Oh, here we go. Oh, HRAO. Okay, that was another one that fell. It looked like, because it looks like Philly just went with her. I don't even know how to say that.
I think it's
That's a lot
hurrah. Oh, hurrah.
Hurrah, or just go rah. Wow.
I was
Just a
trying to
lot
get
of
him
vowel
on.
and consonants.
Trying to get him on a little bit earlier. Again, another one of those Ottawa 67 players, 20-2, 34 goals, 45 assists, a plus 55 at the center position. He signed up at center position anyway. And then right after that, Dead Soul, talk about your pick, Cardinals, and what you were looking for there.
Well, we wanted to definitely get at least one forward in this top end draft, and I mean, of all the guys that we kind of had a chance at least, and we're able to look at, this guy stood out to us, and he's been on our radar for a little bit when we were going through the different names and stuff. So yeah, we were just hoping to make sure we got at least a good forward that could potentially be with us in the Jets, or at the very least be helping out the Moose this season. So we'll see how this goes.
17-4-2, 33 goals, 50 assists, a plus 47 for Cardinals. Six the man, and at the right, signed up as a right wing anyway, and number 10 scoring point wise in the CHL this past season. So this draft crawls along here as we are, 26, 27 minutes into it and 12 picks in. Not too bad. Didn't realize it was going to be a 4-minute pick opportunity. I thought it was shorter in the past. Am I wrong, Dead Soul? Has it always been 4 minutes?
I remember it, if I'm remembering correctly, I thought it was only 2 minutes before. So I think
that's what I thought.
Yeah, that did feel awfully long.
And it's a longer draft too, which is, I'm kind of surprised that they made it longer, pick time.
The overall pick just joined us.
Oh, is he here?
He's here, best in the game. You got anything to say for yourself?
What's good, bud?
He's here.
Is he?
I heard his mic, yeah.
Drew, come out and play, bud. You fucking...
I heard his mic.
All right, well, if he pops in, as soon as he pops in, we'll talk to him.
All right, I've got Carm. My Carmstrong can jump in too as well when we get a second.
Yeah, sure. Get him in here.
How do I invite him on Skype? Actually.
Okay.
Good.
It should be
talk.
should be able to just
people
add
to this call.
Yeah.
Take here 1 second. Sibs, that's why you're the guy that has the amazing setup. I'm just here for the good looks. Come on. No one's giving me shit about the sleeves?
I already said something in the chat, dude.
Buddy, I'm not. There's like 4 chats, man. I'm trying to read the shout box, my Discord, and the YouTube one, man. That's like impossible.
You would think somebody would have reacted because we don't get to see those muscular biceps of yours right now.
Absolutely not. Shoulders are fucking. They're holstered away, man.
Holstered away.
Unis are okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, unis are okay. Got to support the boys during draft night.
But you're not a you're up in upstate New York / Canada, right on the falls there, right? And you're a Bulls fan?
I'm not a
the
Bulls.
LG
I'm like I was a Cavalier fan, so I got my mini jersey from a long time ago. I'm a diehard Sharks fan.
Sharks.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
man. Dude, I was at Joe Thornton's first game as a Shark in Buffalo in 2005. True story. Yeah, man. I've been a diehard Sharks fan for a long time, but man, we got 38 seconds left on the next 2 St. Louis picks. Do you think they go defenseman here then? I would guess.
I kind of feel like in this draft you almost want to take if you can find a good defenseman, take that person. Looks like St. Louis made 1 pick so far.
Asura.
Never heard of
Here
it.
we go. We did go with the defenseman.
Yeah, defenseman 18 and 5, goal, 30 assists, a plus 63 on the season. Signed up as lefty.
Yep, that's not bad. I figured you'd have to go with a defenseman after taking 2 forwards right there. So it'll be, see, this is their next one.
Well, they get 5 minutes, don't they? Holy crap.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
They get 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Are they trying to kill us? Like, what are they doing?
This is almost like the real NHL draft. This is going to take forever.
Tris, I like to talk, but fuck, bud.
We're going to have to take a break at halftime, go to sleep, and come back and finish the draft in the morning at this rate.
I got biggies. Yeah. I got biggies in 45 minutes. We're not even out of the first round yet.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait until they have to try and search for guys' last year's stats. When they get out of the first round, they don't know who they're going to pick.
Yeah, just to let you folks know, we're not going to be on for the entire draft. Not at this rate. It is not going to happen. We're going to try and get through the first round and then see how far we get into the second. But at some point in the next half hour or so, we're going to start at least talking about the early part of the draft. And, of course, you can follow along. Look at the same page that we're looking at right now on LeagueGaming.com. You can find it on the main LGHL page. You'll click the little button that says draft, and you'll be able to watch the draft there as it updates live.
Oh, for sure. Let's take a look here. I'm just going to pull something up. We got to know. I got to see who's going to get taken 99th overall by Joe Stud. I mean, that's a pick to watch out for. I mean, they are stoked about 99th. Guaranteed Gretzky. We're getting up to 25th. I looked into this because, I like to look at my own stuff. I was drafted 25th, and every other 25th that was drafted has been an NHLer. Fun fact.
I guess we're going to have to call that the the no sleep spot.
Absolutely. Edmonton's got it. Gonzo will find a way to mess it up.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that he was looking to manage this season. Take an NHL club, but
he was my owner on Xbox on Calgary, and he dipped, which I was actually upset about because I don't know anyone on Xbox, so that was kind of sucky. Two-way hockey, you have 5 first-round picks. How do you not plan for this shit? Quote of the draft. Yeah, that might even kind of nailed it on the head there. They can't do trades, I don't think, in the middle of a draft, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't know. I don't know what's taking so long.
There's gentlemen agreements. I can tell you, there's definitely people trying.
Perfect. All right, get some insider knowledge there. There's people trying to take them. That's crazy. That have on your last pick when you took Cardinal, was there someone asking about that pick?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I've been muting myself, because I'm getting messages all over the place between the 4th pick there. People are asking stuff, and then the 12th there, and yeah, that continues to go on. So I can guarantee you, with the 4 minutes that are there to be used, people are using that to try and sway people to make some sort of side deals, and I can guarantee at least one of them is probably happening right now.
Perfect.
Not at this moment, but earlier at least.
Yeah. I can't wait to see where my buddy goes.
It's definitely turning out like a real draft, last minute trying to get people to commit to some crazy trade.
Well, it's amazing. You could make some real sick deals because people just want to draft regardless if they think the player is going to be better than what they give up. I mean, because on draft day, a pick has no higher value than minutes before or during the pick.
Right.
Because people just want to draft for that. And like I said, some owners just care about the NHL, but some of them care about their AHL as well. I mean, clearly Vibes does because he's able to draft the whole team. But yep. I mean,
right down to the last few seconds, we finally get a pick here.
Cremation. Did I say that?
Yeah, I think I read it wrong, but you said it right.
That's a interesting stat line.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. If you got it, go ahead and give it.
It's this season he went 14-9-1, 14 points, a +3, and a -50 takeaway giveaway as a right defenseman. So I mean that looks a little suspect, but maybe they did their homework. I don't know. So That'll be an interesting one to watch come the first couple weeks, because like I said, stat line doesn't jump out, but doesn't necessarily mean anything because if you get stuck on an AH, actually, what team was he on?
Sarnia.
He was on Sarnia. How did this thing did well? Did they not?
Playoffs. Look at the
They
playoff
did, yeah.
stat line.
Playoff stats. He went 7-1-2. Oh yeah, so he had a huge playoff.
Look at the takeaway giveaways as well. Holy shit.
Whoa.
Positive 18.
All right, so you just drafted a second tag who took over for someone in the playoffs. Got it. Plus 18. That's crazy.
Big
All right,
turnaround
well,
from the regular season.
That's actually insanely impressive. So maybe that might not be a bad pick. I mean, honestly, I think now we're getting to the more in-depth ones where guys might have had scouting. So like there isn't really oh my god, what a pick. Oh, and Buffalo got him. Oh, Buffalo got my boy. No way he's going JK. That's my buddy in real life. Oh, and he's going to Chicago, or he's going to the old Chicago.
Chef Louis went before him to Nashville at number 15, who is his record 22-1, 33 goals, 44 assists, a plus 61 as a left winger, again from that Ottawa team.
Yeah, man. Let's take a look. Another winger. Let's take a look. Sorry, I was just messaging.
Did you have Jake? Oh, you were messaging JK.
Yeah, I just messaged him.
Yeah, 20-5 for JK. 10 goals, 24 assists, a plus 48 as a signed-up right defenseman.
Yeah, I was hoping he would fall in the second round. He is not a Shoutbox presence at all, but good for Buffalo there. That's a good pick for Colt Crazy there. Damn, that sucks. I'm actually torqued about that. Ugh. That's a good pick. I didn't think he'd go in that. Man, he went higher than I did. Ugh. Now I'm going to have to hear about that.
We got time with St. Louis on the clock, so let's try and get DeBritton back in here. So far, 16 picks. Anything stand out here? Anything shock you?
Not really. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that Grizz went number 8. I mean, he's a good player, but I'm still torn on his attitude, honestly. I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up, but it's going to be hard.
Well,
I mean, maybe they're doing it just to bring him down to the AHL. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to watch out.
That was a very big reason that I know we had kind of stayed away just in case, because I've heard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you got to look at how many times he's been traded. Also, I mean that's got a big deal with it, especially in the CHL, where a lot of the owners give some leeway, and I don't know how it's going to work out for him.
He'll be definitely one to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's bring Beal in because he was on a very interesting Season 5 Manitoba team that, there's no way in hell I would have ever thought with the makeup of the players you had there that your team could hold it together and win a championship. How do you deal with guys who might be poison in the locker room? What's the best way to deal with them?
Ooh, you got to try to do your best to ignore them, I would say. I mean, shit.
Win.
Yeah, win games. That's really it.
Boom to vibes team.
Even if, we, on the Season 5 Moose team, we had ECU to one game, and, everyone knew going in, this is probably not going to turn out well, and, people still got heated, so I don't know. You just really got to win the games with the ego players, so.
Right.
St. Louis making a pick now. Tom Long, who played for Edmonton, the champs in the CHL, 17-6-1, 40 goals, 47 assists, a plus 38. Little over 52% on faceoffs. Giveaway, takeaway, pretty much where you'd expect it. But certainly his numbers look good and was a top scorer in the league in the CHL last season. I have him as number 8 overall in scoring. Sorry.
Just Rian Cremation actually just posted in the Shoutbox that he was on Val d'Or and got traded at the deadline. That kind of reflects his stats. So that takeaway giveaway that had in the playoffs might be more reflect his actual play because he was on a really bad Rip Valdor on a bad Valdor team. No three-peat.
And now a pick finally, not finally, but a pick by
No,
the Wild. Distracted going now as pick number 17. Let's see if we can pull up something on.
Yeah, he's a left defenseman. He played for the Oil Kings. 19-2, 27 points, 5 goals, 22 assists, plus 35. So overall, not bad.
Giveaway takeaways at about 2-1. So again, the giveaway takeaway thing can be very misleading at times. It depends on the team you're on. It depends on how, what position you're playing and who's around you, relative to what they're doing or not doing defensively. So it's a tricky number to look at, but I guess as a manager, Dead Soul, is that something that you still consider, even though it's a stat that could be a little iffy depending on who they're playing with? Do you care about giveaway takeaway when you look at the numbers?
Oh, with the with the defenseman, absolutely, that's a huge number that you have to look at, and it does say a lot. You're right. Sometimes the stats can be very misleading on paper. It does depend on a lot of factors of the guys that are around you. Missing passes, not being where they need to be, being up the ice when they should be closer down to be able to make that pass. Of course, that also comes on to the defenseman to make the smart pass and the quick pass and that kind of thing, or the short pass. But it's a little bit of one of my little secrets when I look into guys, and for sure, I think the takeaway giveaway ratio for defensemen is one of the biggest things you got to look at. It does tell a lot.
For defense, yeah, obviously that's one of the bigger ones. Because points, if you're around a point per game, that's good. But if your takeaway giveaway is good, you're at least indicating that if you have a positive one, that's extremely good. Especially, that's very rare.
But we see a lot of giveaways from top forwards and whatnot. So those are the ones you have to ignore a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
the ones that have the puck, 90% of the game, they're obviously going to have. They're obviously going to have a lot higher giveaway because they're always with the puck, right?
Yeah,
so forwards, it's kind of one to ignore. But with D-men, it can be, if you haven't played with them, it's a better indicator than points or plus
Absolutely.
minus.
And I don't always go for the guys that have the big points on D. I just don't, if you got the right kind of cycling team that can get the D involved, they'll get the points too. They'll score. You don't need guys that are putting up 40 or 50 points in the defense. It's not always necessary.
Right.
So that might mean that they're playing wing.
Exactly.
There's a lot of thing. Yeah, that's a big thing in the CHL. You'll see it a ton where defensemen will play wing, and the adjustment that they have when you simply just can't do that in the NHL. The trap game and whatnot that's played by almost every NHL team, or at least every decent NHL team, and AHL. To be honest with you, it's so much different than the CHL in the sense that CHL is, you'll have a lot of teams that just play organized drop-ins essentially.
Yeah.
Where it's just
right.
if you're good, you can win because you're good at the game. But once you get out of the separates the CHL from the AHL and NHL is that on defense, if you're not playing a decent trap game or at least know where you're supposed to be in the defensive zone, that's the biggest adjustment. But the defense is teachable. I think that people that are good on offense is just you're not born with it because it's not real sports, but your vision in a video game is important, and that's what separates offense from defense, especially is that I think that defense is teachable.
Yep.
2 picks just occurred. Nashville about a minute or two ago picking Chauvin Leco, who was 21-2 on the season as a left winger, 36 goals, 39 assists, a plus 36. He was on Gatineau, who was out after round 4, and his teammate, J.D. Fry, was picked right after him by the Sharks, and J.D. 14-5, 42 goals, 33 assists, a plus 26. And then now Calgary with Matlock, 97 going with pick number 21. And just to go back to Nashville, Choban, Chef, Louis, Tax Freezy, all guys that if you look at the top of the stats in the top 25, that's what you're going to find. So I don't think Vibes is looking much past the stat sheet right now from what I see.
I can tell you that guy was on one of my lists to take a look at, but the one thing that stood out for me with that guy that was a little bit concerning was his 73 penalty minutes.
All right.
It's pretty high.
That is a ton.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I tend to stay away from that.
Yeah, you're spamming poke hard. Unless you're just trying to fight.
Yeah, there's that too.
It
Maybe he's a
could.
big
I mean,
fighter.
some of those have got to be like.
But I look through the thing and it's like 2 minutes, 4 minutes. It's not a lot of 5 minute
Oh,
fights.
that's something you got to watch out for. Because yeah, if you're just spamming poke, that's a problem, especially in the NHL.
Axkull going to the Sharks at number 22, and then Hockey Brady for Calgary at number 23. Axkull's numbers 18 and 5, one of the top scorers at right wing, 18 and 5, 42 goals, 37 assists, a plus 41, 69.2 faceoff percentage. And but as a winger, how often did he get that opportunity? I see 5 PIMs for him on the season, so doesn't get into the box often. That's always a nice thing. Anybody got Hockey Brady? I have a hard time saying Brady right now.
Is Dead Soul, have you seen any guys go that you were going to draft?
Yeah. Well, I mean, guys that we were thinking of getting for sure.
Like at 37th, yeah.
Yeah, like we were hoping maybe someone like Distracted might maybe kind of fall that far. We didn't think it was really going to happen. But as far as like falling further, no, I think we're on par for what we're looking at getting. I think we'll be okay. But I'm keeping a close eye here, and I'm just kind of getting some secondary options ready to go as well. So I'm keeping in touch with the other guys just to make sure that we don't, that I don't miss anything.
Perfect.
Hockey Brady, 17, 5 and 1, 7 goals, 24 assists, a plus 36 as a right defender. 108 giveaways, 78 takeaway. That's a pretty good rate, pretty damn good ratio for a defenseman.
No, absolutely. Oh, we got pick 25 coming up.
Yep, the special pick of the draft.
Yo, the littest pick.
So what are you going to give this guy who gets number 25?
But he's got big shoes to fill. Let's be real. Come on.
You going to pay his platinum for him if he ever gets
Pay
paid?
his plat. Interesting. Should I pay his plat? Pick 25 is just now forever my pick.
Or buy out his first band, one or the other.
Buy out his first band. Let's see. I hope it's someone I know. Like, I hope it's like a name I've seen before. Gonzo had no idea who he was picking, though.
Gonzo, whoever you pick for this one, let's get him on. Let's get him on Skype here so we could talk to him and tell him how important it is that he's the number 25 pick.
Can we do just audio? Like, if someone hopped in, can they do just audio, or is it on their end?
No, they can.
When we call them, right? They choose.
As long as we get him in the Skype call, it doesn't matter to me.
All right, give me one
That's
second,
fine.
because
Chucky 514 going to the Coyotes, and N Russo 317.
Is he a defenseman? Oh, he is. All right, let's take a look at him. Pick 25. This season, he went 15, 6 and 3 with a plus 31. Negative 19 takeaway giveaway on he was a Husky, so another guy out of the queue. All right. And Russo, if you're watching, bud, you got I have faith. I have faith that you're gonna make me proud.
And whatever Sleeves plans on paying for, you'll be getting that in the mail soon.
Yeah, you forever get shot out. You're already famous, bro. I literally have to mention you in every draft going forward, every show now. So, he's definitely. Where's Gonzo's in chat? Gonzo, do you expect Russo? Let's hit with the hot takes. Gonzo, do you expect your draft pick to start and play in the NHL? Let's crush his dreams early.
We'll see if he answers.
If he's following, don't be Sod 20. Pick Sod. Is he in the draft?
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God! Someone's got to pick Sod. Let's go. Shout out to the YouTube or the Twitch goat.
Phoenix has another pick coming up right now. They're on the clock. Buffalo Vancouver, and then Chicago. Pearl 19 goes to the Phoenix Coyotes at number 26.
That's a great pick. I believe that was my buddy's defense partner. I can't remember if he played on the same line, but I actually watched a few of his games. Pearl is very good. That's a really good pick.
Gonzo giving us a.
I'm only here so I don't get flushed.
He's giving us a Marshawn Lynch answer there.
Chewing on his Skittles.
Yeah, Pearl was 16-7-1. He's a plus 35. Takeaway, giveaway, he's got a -3. Not bad.
Oh, that's damn good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Played for Kingston.
Not bad. Yeah, like I said, I think he was my buddy's D partner. But I know that my buddy is a lot more offensive and likes to be a little risky, so it'll be interesting to see if he can dial that back. Let's see where Saad goes. I hope he gets picked. I hope he gets picked before I gotta go.
So Pearl, another defenseman, left defenseman this time, and those numbers look good. I like what I see there. You know, I as a, you know, if I'm looking at defensemen for a draft, I'm thinking, like you said, I don't want a guy who takes a lot of risks. I want a guy who doesn't have a lot of goals. You know, if I see somebody with like you're seeing 4 goals, 19 assists, a plus 35, to me, that's what a defenseman should be doing. If he can take a good point shot, that's great. Although, you know, if you're in the NHL, that happens. If you're in the AHL, you might never see the puck ever at the point. So,
that's very true. That is very true.
I think I had 1 goal. Carm doesn't pass to the point.
You know, if you don't want to play in the NHL, that's fine. But if you've been in the AHL, for the love of God, watch an NHL game. If you're a forward, get some idea of how to use your defenseman, because that really is part of the game. It's so disheartening to watch guys just sit at the point waiting for nothing to happen.
Oh yeah, dude, the down low cycle that doesn't actually cycle, it just kind of stays like a half moon around the back of the net.
You're missing out on a big part of the game if you're not using your D properly.
It is, yeah. Like there's a big disadvantage. I mean, there's a lot of lines though, like good offensive players that can do so much by having. I think it also matters on like coverages, right? So like if you have the wingers playing tight on the D, and you have a skilled forward unit, it's almost more advantageous to use the space that those wingers have given you.
Sure.
But if you're playing a hard collapse and you're not using the points, that's where you definitely need to speak up if you're a defenseman. But
yeah, I want Bill to talk to this because again, I think that was part of what was successful for you guys. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, not so much them. The season before, though, I mean, look, you got the MVP, not just because you were in defense, but because of the way you participated in the offense and the way that your team made the defense part of the offense.
Yeah. I think it was a lot of P-Swag yelling at the forwards, or at least on our line.
Okay.
Because I remember the first game I played with the Moose, we literally had like everything came out of the left corner in the offensive zone. Like all the shots were to one side of the net. Like there was literally no like mixing up of what we were throwing at the goalie or the other team. It was just, yeah, it was just bad. But we turned it around. Obviously, I mean, we won the cup, so shit worked out in the end. But I don't know.
Absolutely.
Always
we
nice
got
to
on the
get
club
defense involved there.
Oh yeah.
You got under a minute here.
Cup champs back on the clock. Almost through the first round here. Are you getting a little bit more dead? So are you getting a little bit more your butt clenched because you're hoping someone falls?
Well, not really. I mean, I think some of the picks that I'm going to get are maybe just, again, you know, you'd have to have done your homework a little bit.
That's good, man. That's
maybe
good.
maybe some blind bidders might get lucky. That's kind of what we're worried about. You know, throwing the darts just randomly at it. I think there's a few owners doing that, but yeah, there's actually a few names on the board that have gone that we did have written down. Some guys that we actually didn't get to see too. So I mean, keep in mind again, our main thing is guys that we actually looked at, because some guys that you actually would reach out to wouldn't even try out for you regardless, and there's different reasons for that. Either they're busy, or maybe sometimes they're somebody's buddy and they want to get on a specific team.
For sure.
But that's something that happens. So, and I'd rather see these guys on the ice before I actually make a decision with them. I don't have 3rd and 4th round picks to kind of just play, you know, that kind of randomness with.
No, absolutely.
Kershaw in 1984 going to Buffalo at pick number 27. 22-2, 31 goals, 37 assists, a plus 47 on the season. And now picked by the Canucks, Kroger, 71, now just being picked at number 28. We've got Chicago on the clock next, and then another pick by Gonzo and the Oilers coming up.
Gonzo, another Gonzo pick. He's actually got a rostered players now. Let's take a look here. Kroger went to Vancouver. Let's see. Taking a look at his stats. Kroger played in the NHL on Xbox.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, let's take a look. I haven't. Was he on your list at all, Ditzel?
Sorry, I was just looking at my list right now with other stuff. Who were you asking about?
Kroger.
Kroger.
Right D.
Right D.
His numbers are 17-6, 3 goals, 22 assists, a plus 36.
He was in the NHL on Xbox though. A long time ago though.
Yeah, no, I didn't have him down.
Player.
Okay.
Maybe he signed up late, or maybe I just skipped over him for
Might have been. No,
Chicago with pick number 29, taking Devoy 11. And what do we have? What do we have? 31 in the first round? Is that what it is? Or
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We got 31.
So it's taking about an hour. It's going to take
An hour. You got 4 hours.
So we are not going to be here for 4 hours. I think we're going to start recapping already.
Yeah, we're going to be.
Chicago with another center.
Oh man.
They got another center.
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. Chicago. Yeah, I gotta think that these guys are not gonna make Chicago's roster
Right.
because I think that who they've got.
Especially with Chef Daddy playing or coming up with for his AGM.
Absolutely. Because now there's like they only have two forward roster spots and 2 goalies, so I mean like there's just no room like because they haven't even done bidding yet and they have a full team basically. So you got to think that he's going to the AHL.
Definitely.
Yeah, and sorry, Gonzo isn't the owner, but I have a feeling he has he is definitely the more vocal management in Edmonton. Someone in chat reminded me he is not owner. He's definitely one of the louder guys.
I think that's well known about Gonzo. Although he's calmed down a lot, and
Yes.
so for some of you guys out there who do like to be shoutbox heroes, eventually you do calm down and just play the game. I hope, and Gonzo's done that, and he's now even management in the NHL. So there you go.
There's a guy that just got mentioned in the shoutbox that I'm actually surprised hasn't been picked yet. Snipester. I just don't. Surprised that he hasn't been. He had a really good season. I believe it was on the Oil Kings. I think he was on the Oil Kings.
Yep, he was on the Oil Kings.
He was just someone I heard they talked about. So
yeah, so 39 goals, 40 assists, plus 23. Certainly, him and Tama had nice seasons for Edmonton. They both are pretty much in the top 10 of this draft as far as numbers go. So, and I saw him on earlier. He was getting games together in the CHL, just getting clubs. So he's got time to play all day. So I got, there's something to be said for picking a guy who plays a lot. You just hope he's a little grounded and doesn't think the game is life and death. But
no, for sure. I mean, like the one thing that like the first rounders, if you're brand new to LG and you haven't been around, at all really, and you were just drafted. The one thing that you have to remember is just because you were drafted, you carry a $2 million cap hit, which is rather large for someone who's just coming from the CHL if you're not ready for the NHL. So I think that you guys just need to just keep that in mind. I'll use myself as an example. When I got drafted, Carm didn't even know me. I think he just looked at my stats, which is fine. I'm pretty sure he was drunk when he was drafting. So I legit played with him, and he yelled at me a bunch because he's like the most disappointing dad ever.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just, all you gotta do is listen. If your owner is who is going to give you playing time, you have a 2-season contract. Don't just use your trade request instantly. I went to Utica, which is the worst AHL team I think in history. And all you got to do is just whenever you play with your owner or your teammates, just ask like take criticism. Like if you're not doing something right and something was your fault, just take the criticism there. But we just looks like we got 2 picks. Happy Gilmore went to Edmonton, and Ryan, or I'm gonna say call him Ryan, I guess. I know he was in the show box earlier. Went to Calgary.
Yeah, R34 Ryan, who wanted to be on the show tonight, but I don't put on people who, right off the bat, I usually don't put people on the air right away. So do some good things, Ryan, and we'll find some time for you.
Looks like he went had a kind of an up and down season. It looks like went 11-10 with 56 points, a plus 26. But his career in the CHL, he is over 3 points per game, a plus 27. So that's not bad on the Oil Kings. So he was on that. I believe he was on the Oil Kings. No, he wasn't. Sorry, he was on the Blades. Looks like. Sorry, they played Oil Kings. And who was? Want to read off?
Happy Gilmore. Gilmore also 10-5-2, 4 goals, 13 assists, a plus 13 on left defense. 90-62 giveaways, takeaways, 5 blocks. Does the job on defense from what I see from numbers here. And with Ryan, that was pick number 31. So that's the end of the first round. And we've got 2 more picks, 32 and 33. We'll talk about those, but we may want to start recapping round 1 because it did take an hour. And
I do have to dip out, boys. I've got Pro Series right now, so you have to carry on without me though. But it's been great, and I feel like I'm gonna leave it in good hands. So good luck with the recap and whatnot.
Hey,
and,
well, let's just get a half a minute from you so far from what you've seen. Is anything out of the ordinary here? You think anybody's a winner after round 1?
Well, look, the top few went pretty much as expected. Grizzle, I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised he went to 8th. Usually, regardless of attitude or whatnot, usually the skill kind of goes out. St. Louis, it'll be super interesting to see how their picks pan out and how many start in the NHL for them. I love that my boy went to the defending Cup champs, JK, at 16 to Buffalo. I think that's a good pick. And other than that, Pearl at 19, just based off my own playing and watching. Like I said, I haven't seen a ton of the guys outside like the top, 8 to 10, but I know Pearl is a pretty good defenseman from the games I watched when I watched Kingston. So I think that him at 26 is a good pick, and Rousseau at the GOAT pick at 25. That's fantastic. So Snipester just went to Nashville. You're just talking about that. That might be a good pick.
And I know Vibes is listening to the broadcast, so you mentioned him. And now there's no way that Vibes did anything to prepare.
I kind of wish you kept your mouth shut a little bit there because that was who I was going to go for.
Dude, as I said it was like word vomit. Like my mouth was falling down the stairs. If you go back and watch, I was literally like, someone said Snipester.
You just gave Vibes free advice, and I'm sure he thanks you for it.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like he might go to the AHL. Maybe, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what guys make it. I'll say this for all the guys that are about to be drafted after the first round. Fatal went in the second round. His soapbox presence sucks, but he almost won the Vezina, and I think he was drafted in the second and third round. There are guys that get drafted in the fourth and third round. Just play with your owners, for Christ's sake. Just play with your owner and listen to what he has to say. And you guys will do fantastic. But I do got to go, guys. So it has been great. And thanks for having me on. All right. Let me know how it goes. All right.
All right, sir.
See you, guys.
Take it easy. That's No Sleeves signing off, heading to a pro game. And just to recap a little bit here, we had Blood Demon at 32, going to the Rangers. The Kings picking up Mile High Hayes at 33. At 34, as we mentioned, Snipester going to the Nashville Predators. And then, again, the Preds picking up right after that, 35, with Dallas 1262. And then Al Capone 514 going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Jets and Edsel on the clock here with number 37. So we'll give him a minute. And I think we're gonna try and start wrapping up a little bit here with Beal and with DeBrin. Just talk a little bit about what we've seen in this first round, and then we'll talk to Dead Soul a little bit about what he's seen so far and how he feels about his picks. And then I think we're gonna call it a night. Give you guys a chance to keep watching the draft on the League Gaming page. It's right on the NHL page, so go ahead and take a look at that and keep watching the draft there as we keep going on. Beal, let's just talk to you a little bit. Again, you talked to some people along the way. You heard some rumblings about what some of the players were that were going to be going. What are you looking at here as far as how this has gone so far with the draft?
It's gone well. I knew about the top 5. I think everyone did, but seeing some of the guys, like No Sleep said, Grizz dropping to 6, kind of surprising. A lot of the other names in here, like after the 15th slot, are pretty solid players I've played against in club and in LG. I think they'll do good on their teams. They might be able to make their NHL rosters. I'm not sure entirely. I'm really surprised a couple of the guys from the battalion have not been picked up yet. There has been a couple. There's a guy, AE Muse, I'm actually looking to see get ripped off the board here. He has solid stats for a forward, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's been interesting watching the Blues and the Preds draft like half their friggin' rosters. So.
It's you look at again a lot of the players that we saw drafted early on here so far in the first 30, 31 picks, even up to number 36 now, the latest one of Lghlpsn. We saw a lot of guys who were well known as scorers in this league. A couple of guys out of the ordinary. I don't think we're seeing anything that seems odd. Again, there will be a player here or there that somebody will know about because they have been able to, play with them a little bit in club, maybe know them from another league, and so we see those kinds of picks. But to this point, DeBrin, again, I'll ask you the same question I've been asking you so far. Anything out of the ordinary here? Are these guys going pretty much where you expected?
Yeah, for the most part, like we were talking before the show. I mean, we knew the first round. That's pretty much where we were going to be able to talk about. Up until then, I mean, it's I don't want to say a poor draft class, but it's definitely not compared to past seasons.
Yeah, the skill really drops off.
Correct. I don't know if that has to do with, just I don't know what it has to do with. Whether we have met, I kind of want to say like our cap on our skills for the players that we have in the league, but I mean I know there's better players. I just don't know if they're actually know about LG.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, with what's in the league right now, that's what I expected out of the first round.
Warriors 80-13 going to the Winnipeg Jets. His record 22-1 as a left defenseman. A goal, 19 assists, plus 32. 87-64 giveaway takeaway. So that's pretty darn good. Defensemen tend to be a little bit more, obviously, but still that's a pretty good ratio. And again, I'm assuming Dead Soul. That's a pick where you see a pretty solid defenseman that has played played plenty of games and did his job as a defenseman really.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually did get to see him play the other night, and he did play left D instead of the right D where he's natural at, and he did a really, really phenomenal job there. So the fact that he was able to play that spot where he told me, he was kind of uncomfortable with it, and I thought that was really good to be able to play that position as well as he did. And if you can play both positions the same way, I think that's a huge asset to be able to have those options. But ultimately, yeah, I did get to see him play just like I did pretty much everybody else, and I think it's going to be a good pick for us overall. I mean, defense is something you can't go wrong with most of the time in terms of if you do your homework well, and I think they help tremendously at winning, those championships.
How are you feeling about what you've accomplished so far with your picks? Is this going pretty much the way you expected to this point?
Well, mine is Snipester getting snapped up there from us. Yeah, it's gone exactly the way we hoped. Other than that, but yeah, it's nice when you can at least have that confidence going in that you think maybe those guys that you'll actually get, and especially if you've planned for that and it just all starts to kind of fall into place, because this always goes completely different than you expect with the draft. People
Sure.
are always thinking so many different things and saying different things, so it's nice to actually not have to really struggle to make decisions right now at this point.
Guys, any last thoughts you want to get in here before we take off? I think we're gonna call it a night, and maybe even do some overall draft review in a maybe later on in the week or early next week. We'll start talking about bidding, obviously. So maybe we'll talk more about the NHL overall when Sleeve starts doing a regular show. But DeBrin, any final thoughts on this and what you saw as far as talent in the CHL? How many of these guys you think might stick?
Yeah, I'd have to say probably pretty much top 7 for sure going to stick. Going from there, one last thing I wanted to add was next season's draft class, I believe, is going to be a little better than this, only because of the CHL is going to have position lock now, and with the 48 games having to be played.
Right.
So we're going to be able to see them for 2 seasons guaranteed in the CHL before they're converted amateur. So I think that's going to be nice for next draft season. Hopefully it's going to be much better than this one. Because like I said, I mean, through top 31, that's pretty much what I expected. There's going to be a couple, good players coming out from the later drafts, but for the most part, I think that's pretty much where they were expected to go.
Beal, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate you were able to join us and comment a little bit about what's going on. Good luck to you in the coming season. Are you a free agent? What's your status right now?
I am in the NHL bidding currently.
You're in the bidding, okay. So
Yeah.
no doubt we will see you play in the NHL, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hope so.
and DeBrin, again, thanks. Good job tonight. We will we'll be getting more information out about what you're going to be doing with the CHL as soon as you have a plan and we have a plan put together. We'll figure out what you're going to do on a weekly basis or maybe bi-weekly, and we'll try and work on calling some live games on the CHL this season as well. So thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dead Soul, good luck. I know you're on the clock right now and you got to make a pick, but thanks for at least joining us for a little while tonight and giving us some insight. Good luck with Season 7.
Thanks very much, and thanks again for having me.
That's it for us tonight, folks. The LGHL PSN draft. And we were able to bring you all the action here, at least for the first round. We'll let you suffer through the next few rounds by yourself. Thanks to No Sleeves, Jay Beal, Dead Soul, and DeBrin again. This is T-Sib saying so long. And thanks for joining us tonight as we were able to bring you the Season 7 LGHL PSN draft right here on YouTube, LeagueGaming.com. So long, everyone. We'll talk to you later.